Good morning. Today is February the 1st, 2015, and today we're going to talk about a very sensitive issue. We Native Americans love a good fight, we love sensitive issues. So, this issue is immigration. Now, as everything else, we have to identify, define, describe, explain, elucidate, and apply. IDEA. Identify, define, describe, explain, elucidate, apply the action. And a good starting point, I would imagine, would be the US Constitution. So let's go back to tribal law, from which was extracted certain powerful concepts and ideals and incorporated into the United States Constitution. But for today's discussion, let's just look at Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4 of the United States Constitution. And this is what it says, and I quote, Congress shall have the power to establish an uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States, in case you didn't catch it. To establish an uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. So they have a rule for naturalization and a law for bankruptcies. So I went back into studying the continental debates. I went back into the deliberations on the Committee on Detail, because when Madison and others drafted something and they were going to pass it, they had a Committee on Detail that checked every word, every comma, every colon, every period. So why did they say rule of naturalization and law on bankruptcy? Why couldn't they just say to establish uniform laws of naturalization and bankruptcies? They didn't say that. They said a rule on naturalization, laws on the subject of bankruptcies. Now let's look at a rule. Every rule need not be a law. Every law may be a rule. So, why do you think they use the word rule and not law? Well, one possibility is when Pedro de Soto, the murderer, sometimes called as Christopher Columbus, and the government celebrates Columbus Day. You might as well celebrate a day of murder. You know, Columbus Day for me is a day that America recognizes murder. And the way they murdered the natives, made them work as slaves in the silver mines and in the gold mines. There's a lot of information on this. There is a great book that you must read, The Ascent of Money by Neil Ferguson. Read this book. Lots of information there about how Pedro Soto and Pizarro and all these fellows who came in from Europe, whom you adulate today as conquistadors, we adulate them today as masters of destiny, manifest destiny. Okay? What about the manifest destiny of Native Americans? Where does that start? You kill me, I'm dead. But when you have the chance to kill me, I can't kill you back, or I can't stand my ground. Don't I have a right to defend myself if my life is in danger, if my life is threatened? That's what stand your ground law is all about. Coming back to the issue of immigration. The reason they wrote in the Constitution an uniform rule of naturalization and not a law is because when the first settlers came here, they didn't have any passports, they didn't have any visas, they didn't have any travel documents. They just came, took what they wanted, and became the Tuk-Tuk tribe, where they take and they took, and we were the taken. I read somewhere, they said when the pilgrims first landed on Plymouth Rock, they fell on their knees and prayed. A little bit later, they fell on the Indians and prayed. P-R-E-Y-E-D. So, the reason they wrote the word rule, or preferred the word rule, is because they didn't have papers. It was only until the Steerage Act was passed in the 19th century, and when Ellis Island became a port of entry where they could record everyone's entry and give him a visa or give him some kind of documentation that allowed him to stay in America. Well, it's a rule of naturalization. It's not a law. Now, let's go back and look at Article 1, Section 8. There are 18 clauses here which says powers granted to Congress. Now, Clause 18 of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18 says, to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department or officer thereof. So, okay, let's look at to make all laws which shall be necessary. And let's say Congress says to itself, I have the power to make immigration law. Well, why don't you repeal Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4, which says to establish an uniform rule of naturalization? Why do you keep that there as a nagging point or a bone of contention? Why make a rule and then make another statement in the Constitution and say to make all laws which shall be necessary? Doesn't make sense to me. Either the Constitution is too insipid, pablum, suffering from intellectual hernia maybe. Who knows? Who knows? But the fact of the matter is, the Indians were not consulted. I go to Australia, I go to England, go to Germany. I need to get there, get a visa from the embassy before I can get there. But these champions, they came all the way here, no permission, nothing. They just came, they settled, and they established the Tuk-Tuk tribe, where they take and take and take and take and just keep on taking. All right? These are the Euro settlers. So immigration is a very touchy, sensitive subject. At some time ago, our friend Barack Hussein Obama said, maybe they should have consulted us. But this is the same guy who, as chief executive, decided to have executive order to override, or set aside the congressional power to make immigration laws. Again, without consulting us. We are the original landowners, in case you forget. But let's look at Article 2, Section 2. Now, the President under Article 2, Section 3, shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed. Article 2, that talks about the executive branch, it only has till Section 1 till Section 4. It says the President, Article 2, Section 3, shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed.